All right, thank you so much, Sam. Of course, we're going to bring into the conversation Minister Mchunu in charge for water and sanitation. Water is still a big issue, and the load shedding has even made it worse that some plants are not even able to purify the water. As a department, your interventions that you've contributed to the president's speech.
Well, I'm from Heidelberg, and I arrived an hour ago towards the Southern Cape. I also went to another municipality close to Caledon. Now, we were looking at our interventions that we did last year in 2021, and they are bearing fruit. But to be relevant to your question, they told me that in order for them to keep pumping water amidst this load shedding heavy as it is, the department has secured three generators for them. This is a small area, but people need as much water as in a big area. I was quite pleased that instead of sitting and lamenting, they made a move and said, let's acquire generators. That is the order of the day. Where a municipality can afford a generator, please do so, just to keep water pumping. Where other means can be found, like for instance pumping at night or closing at night, and then pumping during the, pumping at night while people are asleep and there's no higher use of water. So let us be nimble-footed.
Let's go to the city of Johannesburg and Nelson Mandela Bay, who seem to have a very serious problem. You've visited Nelson Mandela Bay at least on 2 occasions to make an intervention. There, it doesn't seem that the problem is going away. Where are we missing the point?
In Nelson Mandela, though this is year number 8 of drought in that area. So that is the bottom line. It is a very dry area with no rain whatsoever. So from there, every other thing is going to be a problem, whether there's load shedding or not. The fact that for 8 years it hasn't rained. But we're doing what we can via other means like drilling water, via boreholes, tankering, static tanks, and all of that. It is working for now.
Lastly, in the city of Johannesburg, what's happening there?
Well, you are aware that shortly after there was quite a high pitch of fear and threat of water, Johannesburg Water did announce that they are now filling up, they are now getting stable, which means that it's a question of learning fast, and then you check how to fill up your reservoirs, closing that side, opening this side, closing this side, opening that side. This is the order of the day, and we're asking people to be patient with us because we're hoping that these problems are not going to be permanent and they are going to be over in due course.
All right, thank you so much. All the best, Minister Mchunu from Water and Sanitation. Samgele is standing by.
Well, Minister, we seem to have had the same color coding of our suits here today, but hopefully you'll also be able to take this color, which is drinkable there in Mkanyagute, where people need water. That is the Minister of Water and Sanitation. But South Africans are also grieving, on the other hand, with the State of the Nation address which being delivered by the President today. Our soldiers were shot down in the DRC, where there is conflict in that part of the African continent. Minister, what truly transpired within the DRC where our soldiers lost their lives?
You do know that we are in the DRC because there is ongoing war. A fight over resources, political fights, but it is disturbing the region. The AU then took a decision. The United Nations they were under the umbrella of MONUSCO, the United Nations. And yes, our plane was shot The pilot managed to bring it down. He was shot in the arm, so he survived. The engineer we have lost. So we are grieving, but we are also proud that South Africans sometimes go beyond their own borders to secure peace, to add to the progress which we think shouldn't be too far off in Africa. So even though we have lost and we are bleeding, we have sent our condolences to the family to say, akafanga enza into imbi. He was fighting for what we believe in, securing the people, making sure democracy grows, making sure that people can take care of themselves within their own borders.
President Tshisekedi of the DRC was in the country, had a courtesy call to President Cyril Ramaphosa. Was this issue in some way deliberated between the two? And were the real reasons of why the plane was shot down given to the President of South Africa by President Tshisekedi, if we are purview to those discussions?
Well, I do not sit with two presidents having a tete-a-tete and discussing statecraft, but I do know that what we are in the DRC for is to help them find peace and stability.
Any idea who may have been behind the shooting of the plane down?
I do know it is M23.
Thank you very much, Minister of Defense, Thandi Modise. But I'm going to now bring in with my colleague Bulelani here, the Minister of Home Affairs within the country. I almost said the Minister of, because he's a doctor as well. Minister, the issues of immigration within South Africa, foreign nationals within the country, the issue of the Zimbabwean permits, how far are we as a nation with those issues?
Yeah, indeed, Samkelo, you touched a very important topic. I'm sure you are aware that on the Zimbabwean exemption permit, we've given them a deadline of June. But you are aware that there are several court cases where we are being taken to court about the issue. The first one is sitting in April. That is that. I'm not sure what the other thing is apart from ZEP, which you wanted to know about.
I wanted, as a doctor, what briefing have you received from your cabinet colleagues, particularly the Minister of Health, on the cholera breakout within the country that we have been seeing the numbers? Last I checked, there were already 3 South Africans reported to have contracted cholera.
Well, I'm sure you might have to ask that question directly to the Minister of Health in case I misdirect you in terms of what I've said, what I will have said. But what we know is that the situation is under control. It's still very early days. It is being observed. It's not surprising why we'll have a problem of cholera, because there's a problem of water all over the country. I'm sure you might be aware that cholera is a waterborne disease. When problems happen in that area, you do get disease like cholera, but up to so far, we understand they are still assessing the situation, but we want to believe it's under control.
On the State of the Nation address, going to the contents of it, particularly on immigration policies, what would you like the President saying to the nation to come across in South Africa's policy direction going forward?
You might also be aware, because you have been there in June last year during the ANC policy conference, culminating into the national conference, that we submitted a policy document about immigration and made several proposals, one of which is that we need to revisit the Citizenship Act of 1995, the Refugee Act of 1998, and the Immigration Act of 2002, that we are going to review them in order to correct whatever mistakes are there and then combine them with several chapters, because we are made to understand that is the trend internationally. That's the main thing we're doing. As to whether the president will find it prudent to announce it here or not, I don't know, because I'm not privy to what is in his speech.
Thank you very much, Minister Motsoaledi. That is the Minister of Home Affairs.